Good afternoon, everyone. It's Kirsten here for a Thursday Spa Business Break where I'm talking about, shocker, spa business and your spa business. Today in particular, I am carrying on the conversation about recruiting and hiring. So I'm talking about this because right now is kind of the time that you need to start making your hiring decision as far as, if you know that you're going to be busier come May and all through the summer, and you know that you want to add another team member for the increased flow of your business, then you have to be aware that you got to start a lot sooner than maybe you think you do. So this Facebook Live today is for those of you that maybe are new to adding a team, thinking about adding a team in the next couple months, or those of you that are already spa owners and maybe haven't had successful hires and you are struggling to determine where the breakdown is happening. So today's Facebook Live is about the 3 systems for recruiting and hiring that I recommend that you implement into your business. Now, these systems, like any system, especially when it's about your business, which has a lot of moving parts, it does take more time than most spa owners think to put this together. So yes, you could put together a system over a weekend, but probably not likely, especially if you don't have a lot of experience with it. And what I do notice is that although a lot of spa owners are willing to put the time and effort into creating a system, they actually don't really know what to put into it. So today I'm going to give you some kind of an overall some general things that you want to have in your systems, and then you can take that and run with it and start plugging it into your own business. So I want to start off first with talking about what you need to do before you even set up any kind of recruiting or hiring systems in your business. And that is you need to be somewhat prepared with documentation for your team before you even start the recruiting process. This is one of those key pieces that I know our industry has not been good at, and often the only time where they are, I would say, almost pushed into having documentation. And I'm talking about not just your staff handbook, but your operations manual, but also some of the details that are needed to even just do recruiting. So having a really clear and well done job description, having a really great, well-written job ad, knowing where to be recruiting. So some of this whole process needs some preparation before you even dive into making systems. So the prep for hiring is to make sure you have your documentation all ready before you start the recruiting process. So your documentation will be job descriptions, your documentation will be a team handbook, and your team handbook is basically outlines the relationship between you and your team members. A handbook typically does not have processes in them. They're more about policies and kind of how you expect the team member to behave within the business. Now, the actual manual you do want for protocols is your operations manual, and this is going to include all of your step-by-step procedures. From reception, if you're hiring a receptionist, you need to have reception protocols for them. You can't just show them around the computer for, a week, have them shadow, and then just let them loose and expect them to be absolutely on it. There's a period of time that we need for training that is literally they need to be training. So we have to temper our expectations with what we've provided for documentation and what we've provided for training. But as far as what you need, definitely handbook and then your operations manual, which outlines the step-by-steps that your team members need to take in order to deliver the services, deliver the guest experience that you are expecting. So once you've done your prep, then you can move into the recruiting process. Now, I just want to pause for a second. If the whole prep part totally freaks you out in such that it's feels super overwhelming, you don't know what to put in a staff handbook, you don't know what to put in an operations manual, and it just seems like too much work, then you can use resources like me. I have both staff handbook and operations manuals. With my private coaching clients, they get those within their coaching program. But if you want to have manuals that are kind of really already done for you, mostly done for you, and that you need to tweak with your specific protocols, I have those, so you can connect with me. And the other piece of this, if you want me to do it for you, to set it up all for you, I can do that too. So don't feel like you're stuck because you just simply don't have the time or the mental bandwidth or even the knowledge of how to put these things together. It can be done for you, and I can take care of that for you. Okay, now we're getting into the actual system. So the first system that you want is for recruiting. So your recruiting system is going to include things like, it's going to have your job description. You definitely need to have a job description for recruiting, a very clear job description. You want to have in your system a list of places that you consistently post your job ads. You want to track those places because you want to find the pattern and not have to repeat what doesn't work, but repeat what does work. So places to be recruiting, of course, are recruiting websites. Many of them are paid. Of course, you've got Craigslist, which is free, or your local kind of online classifieds like that. So here in Victoria, we have usevictoria.com as well as Craigslist. So you do have those, but then also your website. Do you have a hiring page on your website that you can share on social media on a consistent basis? Do you post your hiring that you're hiring or recruiting on your social media? What else? Your email marketing, you can mine your client list. I had 2 really great hires coming out of my client list. They loved coming to the spa, they loved the vibe, they loved the culture, they loved what we were doing, and they wanted to be a part of it in a different way. So mining your email list for places to recruit is a really great place to go to. And of course, aesthetic schools or massage therapy schools or whatever kind of service provider you're trying to recruit, use the schools. They need you as much as you need them, okay? The other part of a recruiting system will be when you're putting your ads together of how to apply. Now, I know this sounds kind of like, well, duh, but here's the thing. We can use that call to action of how to apply as a way to weed out the people that aren't really great at attention to detail. This works very, very well. Okay, the next system that you need is an interview system. Again, this is a place where I see it's quite weak with the spa industry. We kind of just wing it. But when we have a system, it allows us to have those places that can stop us if there's a red flag in the process. It's when we go outside of our hiring or our interview system that we run into trouble. So as far as your interview system, you're going to have a phone interview to screen. You are going to have a one-on-one after the phone interview. If they made it through the phone interview, you're going to have a one-on-one get-to-know-you meeting. You're going to have another meeting for a hands-on interview for if they're a service provider, and then you're going to have a last meeting, which would be the job offer if that's the direction that you want to go with that person. So with your interviews, you want to make sure that you have a list of questions that you ask every candidate so that you're comparing apples to apples, okay? Now, the last system that you need for this whole hiring thing is an onboarding and training system. It's just not okay to hire a service provider, kind of show them around the spa, have them do a couple of services, and then put them on the floor. That's really just setting them up to fail. So you do need a structured training program where you're making sure you're ticking off all the boxes to make sure that they understand the protocols, that they understand product knowledge. You want to have some testing places at the end of each module so that they prove to you that they know what they're doing and they prove to you that they know what they're talking about as far as product knowledge. So it is an effort to have an onboarding and training system, but it sets you up for success. It sets your team member up for success as well. So it does become difficult if you are a spa owner who's still in the treatment room. You're going to have problems with that when you have a team because you've got clients to service, but you still have a responsibility and a duty to run your new team member through your training program. So yeah, it's a lot of work. And that should be your first clue to take this very seriously. It's not just a matter of, hey, I'm just going to hire somebody to take my overflow. It's much more in-depth process if you want to have consistently good, strong hires that stick with you. Okay. So that is my nugget today about recruiting and hiring and onboarding. I just, it's really important for me that you know the realities of the next steps of your business so that you're not getting into these jams. You're not getting halfway through and realizing, I'm missing this and I'm missing this. And why is this so difficult? A lot of times it just has to do with you kind of just wing the whole thing, and once you got into it, you realize where all the holes were. And then that is exceptionally frustrating. It's frustrating for you, and it's really frustrating for your new hire. So do yourself a favor, spend more time preparing to hire. Make sure you have these systems in place so that both of you come out of at the end still feeling like, yeah, this is a great fit. It's a great hire and clients love them. So let me know if you have done any of these things as far as putting together systems, what saved you, what didn't save you. I've heard over and over. I mean, I've even experienced it myself. If I kind of went off book of a system of mine and something didn't work out in my hiring process or my training process, it's because I didn't follow my own system. So once we have the system in place and we know they work, then it really makes a difference on what the outcomes are, because the systems create repeatable results. That's really what we're talking about here, making it easier for yourself. All right, that's it for me for Thursday Spa Business Break. If you have any questions, if you want any help with your own recruiting, training, onboarding and training processes, hit me a DM and I will see what I can do to set you up with some help. All right, see you next week.